Well, there's not long to wait now until that board is full. Yes, welcome along to this week's Women's Football Chat. My name is Chris Gadsby. I'm here every Thursday at 6 p.m. bringing you the very latest from the third and fourth tiers of women's football here in England. That's the FA Women's National League. All the latest news, results and fixtures from the 72 teams that come under the FA WNL umbrella. Now this week we've got some good and some bad to go through, plus later on in the show that semi-final draw for the Women's Football Chat Summer Knockout 2024. There will be a new name on the trophy. We are down to our final four, and the inaugural winners, Chesham United, got knocked out in the quarter-final stage. But there are bits and pieces to go through this week, so we're going to start. We'll start earlier on in the week, and that is with the news that Doncaster Rovers Belles are going to be returning to the Eco Power Stadium for next season. So each of the Belles' scheduled weekend home fixtures in Division 1 North will be staged at the Eco Power Stadium, the first time in the club's post-FAWSL era that the stadium will act as the main home. The Belles chief executive Chris Wood has said, for 4 decades the Belles have been at the forefront of the women's game, and the setbacks we have suffered in our recent history do not affect our vision and plans to take the Belles to where they belong in the game. Now what they've seen with those games being played at the main stadium is 350% increase in attendance from the games held at Fawn and their other temporary homes in recent years. So, 3.5 times the number of people coming through the door. Whether that will be sustained when it's every single game and not a one-off, we'll have to wait and see. But they clearly feel that that is the right move for them to make. So they say that bringing the Belles home to Doncaster and finding a permanent home have always been on the agenda, and the next step is to make the Eco Power Stadium their main home. Our attendances are in the top 5 across the country at Tier 4, surpass some teams at Tier 3, so they are placing on record their thanks to everyone who's followed them so far, and they're excited to play in front of bigger crowds every week. Now, home midweek fixtures and midweek cup fixtures, it says there on midweek cup fixtures, will continue to be played at the Chesterfield Poultry Stadium in Moor Ends. And then they are talking, then the final paragraph, about they're hosting Leeds United at the Eco Power Stadium on August the 4th for the Julie Chipchase Memorial Trophy, kind of pre-season game with a trophy attached to it. So yeah, great that Doncaster Rovers Belles are moving back to the Eco Power Stadium. And interesting there that they talk about home midweek cup fixtures. And we know that the league are looking to finish a week earlier, kind of the end of April. Maybe that means, or that would indicate more midweek games. So it indicates that cup fixtures may well be midweek there. Whether that's the determining round, the preliminary round, round 1, whatever happens there. But we won't have to wait too much longer to find out what the situation is with all of that, because it has also been announced that the fixtures for next season are being released at midday, supposedly, on Monday. That's the 15th of July. Now, I say supposedly because they were supposed to be released at midday on a Monday last year, and Full Time decided to throw a wobbly, and I think they eventually came out at about 25 to 1. So we will wait and see. but got plenty of graphics and stuff ready to go for the opening day of the new season, which is, as we know, on August the 18th. So come next week's show, that board will be nice and full again with lots of league fixtures. It is looking incredibly bare at the moment, very sad, but it will be full in just a few days' time. Right, let's then go on to the other piece of positive news that we can talk about this week, and that comes from the East Midlands. Positive for some, perhaps not so positive for others. The title, Nottingham Forest Women to go full-time professional. They are following in Newcastle's footsteps. They go full-time professional as Evangelos Marinakis, who's the Nottingham Forest owner, pledges major investment in women's sport. This is also off the back of a few weeks ago, Nottingham Forest introducing a women's netball team that are playing in the top league of netball in this country, and they're going to be playing out of the Motorpoint Arena, a big arena. It can seat about 8,000 when there's netball, or specifically most of the time ice hockey, for the Nottingham Panthers. So Forest Women going full-time professional, and all 11 women's home league fixtures are going to be played at the City Ground, which is also a big thing, similar to Doncaster. So they've moved away from Long Eaton, and now they're playing right pretty much in the heart of Nottingham. Easy access for lots of people to go, and that in itself is very positive. It does potentially bring about some issues, because the men are in the Premier League. Does that mean that there is going to be quite a bit of scheduling clashes with the men playing on Sundays so often? Are there going to be difficulties with the women? One thing I can pretty much guarantee you would suspect is that the women are going to be at home every single international break on a Sunday, which I think next season means that there's six of the 11 home games sorted already, so they shouldn't be too much of a problem. But we'll see what happens again when the fixtures come out on Monday. So they say Nottingham Forest will become a full-time professional club from the start of 25-26. That's next season. But this season they are having 18 full-time professional players and a small number of part-time. So you are talking at least your primary, you would think, matchday squad plus all the substitutes are going to be full-time. So it may, you may as well say that they are full-time going into this upcoming season. It will, as I said, it will see Forest Women play 11 home games next season at the City Ground, providing the club and its fans with first-class facilities. It will significantly increase overall contact time with the squad, enhance training, learning opportunities, access to elite medical, nutritional, recovery and support services. And paid subscriptions to the Girls Academy will also be scrapped in a move that delivers parity with the Boys Academy. Contact time with Academy players will markedly increase to meet FIFA's recommendations for optimal talent development. So sounds as though they are, because we know they got rid of the reserves, but they're changing the way the academy works to bring that up to speed as well. And the club is also embarking on a major expansion of grassroots girls football venues within the city of Nottingham as part of its Visions for Sport initiative to allow every girl with ambitions of a career playing for Nottingham Forest to have the same opportunities as boys have had for many years. The Forest's head of women and girls football, Amber Wildgus, says the move to a full-time model has been driven by significant investment and unwavering support from the owner. It highlights our ambition as a club and our commitment to breaking into the FA Women's Championship and fulfilling our vision of progressing to the Women's Super League. We're excited about the improvements to the Girls Academy, which aims to diversify the talent pool, increase contact time and contribute to the owner's Vision for Sport initiatives, cultivating homegrown Nottingham talent. It is an exciting time at the club for women's and girls sports as we embark on this ambitious step alongside the Nottingham Forest netball team. So it's great if you're a Forest fan, and great that you've got a club that's moving in the right direction. In terms of as a whole, it is also highlighting, as one team moves forward, how other teams are not. I know there is a lot of discussion around Wolves not doing that, and it feels to me, if you're another team, as a Forest, and people will know that that's where my grown up supporting Forest and was with Forest Women for a couple of years. As a Forest Women fan, absolutely loving it. As a BBC Radio Nottingham freelancer and covering the cup final and the playoff a couple of years ago, the opportunity for Forest to get a promotion game that I can go and cover as well. Great, love it. Love the fact that they're going to be hopefully in the Championship. In terms of for the league, we saw what happened, and yes, it wasn't a complete whitewash, but Newcastle did finish 11 points clear. Obviously, the full-time side, they finished 11 points clear of anybody else. They only lost one game all year, and that was to Forest, with a couple of draws in there as well. In terms of for the league, it takes a little bit away perhaps, because Forest will now be overwhelming favourites to get themselves into the Championship, and I think you run the risk. You look at Newcastle last year, the likes of 10-0 against Huddersfield, 7 against Halifax, 11 against Fylde, then 5 against Stoke, 5 against Stourbridge. You're scoring 4 and 5 goals a game pretty much every game. There are closer ties. It was a 3-2 against Wolves where they pulled it back. It was a 3-0 against Wolves, a 3-0 against Burnley. I just feel like they're going to be scoring. You're going to go into every weekend not in a case of, okay, who's going to win this one, but how many goals are they going to score? Newcastle 79 goals in 22 games in the league last year, so you're just under 4 goals a game, conceding 0.5 goals a game. So I just wonder, in terms of for the league, the South looks so much stronger than the North next season, and I think a lot of the good football and the tight races are going to be in the South. I think in the North, the indication is more that the relegation battle will be the interest. So in terms of the league, it's not great having a full-time team in there. I know they're not quite full-time, but they're near as damn it full-time. 18 full-time players, that's your 11 plus the 7 subs you're allowed. So you are practically running that. Newcastle finished 11 clear. You've got to look at probably the same sort of thing again, you would imagine. I mean, let's look at it this way. Newcastle last year finished with 59 points from 66. So that's 7 points across the whole season dropped. If you lose both your games to them, you've already dropped 6 and they dropped 7 all season. Therefore, to beat them, you've got to be perfect the rest of the year. That's it. That's all you can do. You have to be perfect and win every single game other than the ones against the full-time team. If you can pick something up against the full-time team, great. That's kind of where Forest fell down last year, is that yes, they beat Newcastle. They finished 12 points off them in the end. But Forest had kind of daft games that they shouldn't have lost that they did. They lost at home to Derby. Where were the other games that Forest lost? Obviously, they beat Newcastle. Then it's a draw with Liverpool Feds. Fair play to Liverpool Feds, but you would think that Forest should win that. They then drew with Derby again, lost to Wolves, having been 3-0 up in that game. You take those games out of there, the 2 draws, that's another 4 points, then the 2 wins, and you're putting them level. So it's that sort of situation. So it does just look like Forest are going to be overwhelming favourites. Great for Forest, great for women's football in that area. It's also highlighting where other clubs are really starting to fall down. We've seen so much trouble. Obviously, Reading have gone to Tier 5. We've covered that. Sheffield United are struggling. Blackburn are struggling. Burnley don't seem to be quite where they were, although they have been very quiet over the summer. The Wolves supporters are very vocal about not liking where Wolves is going, and those were the teams in and around last year. Then there was a big drop off. You've only got to look at Forest taking Amy Sims from Derby. That was one of their best players, and Rose Andrews has gone as well. Derby could be down there again. Stourbridge, we know, struggled last year, and they've had a complete change in management, and things don't seem to be going well there. How are Sporting Cowser and Hull going to do? Well, they're going to want to just survive, so it could well be that you've got a big battle down towards the bottom. So I don't want to say the football's not going to be great, because there is going to be some great football in the Northern Premier Division next season. It just feels a bit like Newcastle again, and almost like now everybody is expecting Forest to come in, score 4 or 5 goals against you, go away with 3 points and go up into the Championship come next April. Anything other than that is going to be a failure, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens with it. So that is the good news. Let's go to what could be considered good by some, but I don't like it. So some of this is on my computer, some of this is on my phone. The FAWNL Awards, you remember we all went to Wembley for the awards ahead of the Women's FA Cup final, and the Golden Glove, Golden Boot people, they got themselves, a cardboard box. Now, they have now been sent proper, nice looking, to be fair, glass trophies with the FAWNL logo, sort of, we'll come on to that. And the award and what they've won and the division and the name. Again, sort of. So not only has it taken 2 months for them to get these awards, but if you go on the if you go on some of these players that have won these awards, Abby Bond from Exeter, for example, April Hill, there are a number of things that I've seen that Caitlin Creary is another one that I don't like. Number one, what is going on with the FAWNL logo? Anyone who hasn't seen it, as I say, go on their Twitter and you'll see it. On the players that I've just mentioned there, on their Twitters, you'll see it. The logo is there, but the white writing of National League isn't. So effectively, it just says the FA Women's N. I mean, the FA Women's N? What's that? And then, so underneath, the FAWNL Awards 2024, fine. Golden Glove, fine. I'm looking at Abby Bonds here. Golden Glove, fine. Div 1 Southwest. Div 1. Div. Division. Why are we shortening an official award? Division 1 Southwest. Come on. It almost makes you think that they're trying to save money and the engraving was charged by the letter. Div 1 Southwest. Come on. And then the same with the with this one to Caitlin Creary. Again, for starters, the FA Women's National League logo, not only does it not have the word National League, it almost looks, it could just be the light, but it almost looks like it's just a sticker plonked on there. And then you've got FAWNL Awards 2024, fine. Golden Glove, fine. Reserve, South and Central. Okay, well, for starters, that should have division, again, on the end of it, not just Reserve, South and Central. And secondly, the league isn't Reserve, South and Central. The league is Reserve, South, East and Central Division. You're missing words off again. So it's taken 2 months to get an award through, essentially, which doesn't have the logo on properly and doesn't have the league on properly. And it makes it seem like the FA don't know their own leagues. Like, come on. It's ridiculous. And particularly after, it just seems at the minute that we've got decision that doesn't make sense after decision that doesn't make sense after decision that doesn't make sense. Let's get PGA teams in. Nobody wants it, although apparently the clubs voted it through. Can understand a bit why they voted it through, but I've got to wait for stuff to properly come out before kind of going into more detail on that. But I can only think they've charged by the letter and tried to save money, because why would you not put the division in properly? Like, how have you got that wrong? And that comes coupled of, at the awards, them giving the Golden Glove award to somebody who didn't win the Golden Glove. All of that was in the reserve as well. It just makes no sense to me how that could have been got wrong, and so badly wrong, and then after 2 months. I don't know who was in charge of doing that, but I don't know how they've got that so wrong. I really don't. Right, well, that's kind of all I've got to say on those awards, really, because otherwise it's just going to turn into rant after rant after rant. So let's move on we'll go back to positive bits of information. We are now going into the semi-final stage of the Women's Football Chat Summer Knockout Tournament 2024. So we are down to our final 4 after the quarter-finals saw Nottingham Forest beat Chesham United with 62% of the votes. Forest going through into the semi-finals with the most number of votes. Dulwich Hamlet there as well, 57% of the votes, knocking out last season's finalists Norton and Stockton Ancients. And then they are joined in the semi-final by Halifax and by Loughborough Lightning. Very short draw, as you can imagine, with there just being 4 teams left. But who will draw who in this, the final draw, of course, of the Summer Knockout 2024? Dulwich Hamlet, Halifax, Loughborough Lightning and Nottingham Forest. Well, we started with 72 and we now just have 4 left in the 2024 Women's Football Chat Summer Knockout. This is then the final draw to be made this year. We have, as I said, just 4 teams remaining: Dulwich Hamlet, Halifax, Loughborough Lightning and Nottingham Forest, and they are numbered 1 to 4 in that order. Just then a reminder of how this Women's Football Chat Summer Knockout draw works. So they'll come out of the box. We will then have 2 ties. They will go up on www.womensfootballchat.wordpress.com, and voting will be open from now until midnight on Sunday. And at midnight on Sunday we will have our final 2, which will be battling it out for the title of favourite team in the FAWNL, and we will have a new name on that trophy this year as well, because Chesham United got knocked out by Nottingham Forest in the quarter-finals, and Wolves were out in the early stages of the competition, beaten by Dulwich Hamlet. Both of those teams, of course, still in the draw. Dulwich Hamlet, new side in the FAWNL. Can they lift a trophy before the season has even started? So this is going to be a very quick draw. As I said, Dulwich Hamlet number 1, Halifax number 2, Loughborough Lightning number 3, and Nottingham Forest number 4. Won't take very long at all, with only 2 ties to draw. Let's crack straight on with it. And the first team out is Loughborough Lightning. Loughborough Lightning, the first side out. And Loughborough Lightning will take on Nottingham Forest. Loughborough Lightning against Forest, which means that we will have Halifax, and Halifax, they take on Dulwich Hamlet. So Loughborough Lightning against Nottingham Forest, Halifax against Dulwich Hamlet. Start voting now and we will have our finalists by midnight on Sunday. Well, there we go then. We have our semi-final ties. Nottingham Forest are taking on Loughborough Lightning, and Dulwich Hamlet against Halifax. Just before we go, we have some breaking news on this show, or breaking when I'm recording this on Wednesday anyway. Chesham United, they are back for the new season with new management and a new name. Read the press release for you. As Chesham United women's team prepare for a new season in the FAWNL, the club have today announced 2 changes that will ensure Chesham United continue to move forward positively into the future. First of those changes is a name change for the club. For the last 25 years, the team have been known as Chesham United Ladies, a name that reflects the long-standing legacy that the club has as they have continued to drive the women's game forward. However, to strengthen ties with Chesham United FC, and to recognise the continued cultural, societal shifts towards equality, inclusivity and modernity, the club will, from next season, be known as Chesham United Women. They're also announced that Manny Azer, the first team's coach for 3 seasons, will be stepping up into the role of manager for next season. Lisa Welling, who has served in that role for many years, will be stepping aside and continue to take on an administrative role with the club, overseeing all our age group football and actively playing for our walking football team. So yeah, new management and a new name for Chesham United as they go from Chesham United Ladies to Chesham United Women. That then, do get voting now, I should say. Do get voting for your finalists in the Women's Summer Knockout. That is open now and will go through until midnight on Sunday, at which point we will have our finalists and see who will take home the Women's Football Chat 2024 Summer Knockout title. That will about do it then for this week's episode of the Women's Football Chat. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this video. You can also turn on notifications so you never miss an upload of the Women's Football Chat. Thank you very much for watching and or listening to this week's episode, and goodbye.